I'd like the memory of me to be a happy one. I'd like to leave an afterglow of smiles when day is done. I'd like to leave an echo whispering softly down the ways of happy times, laughing times, and bright sunny days. I'd like the tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun, of happy memories I leave behind when day is done. As we go about our days, busy day-to-day lives, we don't give much thought to the fact that one day we will live on through the memories we leave behind. On occasions such as today, we take the time to pause and reflect on the impact and influence that Lola had upon the people she met. I welcome you, Lola's family and friends, to the Geraldton Crematorium to celebrate the life of Lola Florence McNeil. To each of you, Lola was someone special. She was a mother, mother-in-law, grandmother, stepmother, auntie, friend, partner, or confidant. She was bright, positive, and cheerful person. There are no words that we can speak that sum up the full positive life that Lola lived. But Lola's family have written a eulogy to give a small but meaningful insight into her life. It is my honour to share this with you now. Born in Goomalling on the 10th of October 1931 to Isla and Sonny French, Lola was the firstborn of 4 children, with siblings Keith arriving 17 months later, then Glenys and Velma being the youngest. All the siblings attended primary school in Goomalling. Lola had many happy memories growing up here, with horse rides into school and town with her much beloved brother Keith. Keith sadly was later to pass away from leukaemia, aged in his 30s. Lola had to leave Goomalling to attend Kubler College in Katanning for her senior school years, which she did not enjoy at all. One of her memories was having cold showers in winter as the hot water system would break down and missing her family. When Lola finished school, she returned to Goomalling and worked for her grandpa Royal at his store, the Goomalling General Store. Lola adored her grandpa and grandma Royal. Then her father, Sonny French, sold Hillview Farm in Goomalling and bought a farm in Darkin in 1949 called Booning Down, which the Blackwood River ran through. Lola then went to work at the Darkin Road Board. During this time, Lola met her first husband-to-be, Morris Lilly. Lola, Morris, brother Keith and Don Stewart were all close friends and socialised together on many occasions, often going to dances and the like. Lola was also a keen and competitive tennis player in Darkin. Sonny French then sold the Darkin farm 12 months later in 1950 to purchase an orchard in Goldsnells. The French family only settled here for 12 months before selling up and buying into a car dealership in Mill Street in Perth. During this time, they lived on the corner of Bruce Street and Princess Road, Nedlands. During 1954 and 55, Lola visited Geraldton to work and lodge with good friends Les and Joy Ralph. Lola was Joy's second cousin and introduced her to Les in Perth a few years previous. They would have played many a card game during their time together, and they remained good friends throughout the years. Lola had kept in contact with Morris Lilly during these past years from their original meetings in Darkin. They went on to marry each other on a very hot day on the 1st of February 1956 in Nedlands. They then moved to Busselton, living in Duchess Street. Lola worked at the Busselton Shire Council as rates clerk and then at V&V Walsh, butchers, until having her children. Firstborn son Kim in March 1958, then daughter Karen, July 1960. She returned to work at the butchers when Kim and Karen went to school. Lola never bought sausages for about 30 years as a result of working at the butchers, as she saw how they were made back then. youngest daughter Tanya arrived December 1965. In 1967, Lola, Morris and family moved to Greenbushes for 12 months because of Morris's work commitments. He was appointed manager by Uncle Ted Lilly, who had the contract to mine tin at the time. They returned to live in Marine Terrace, Busselton afterwards. Lola and Morris's marriage began to deteriorate around this time. Lola later met Thomas McNeil in Busselton through a mutual friend. Tom was living in Geraldton at the time, running an accommodation business, Iona Lodge. Lola decided to move the family to Geraldton in May 1974. The Holden station wagon was packed to the brim with the household goods, including the 28 Parrot, Herbie, who asked, "What you doing?" about 5,000 times between Busselton and Geraldton, and managed to chew through most of Lola's plants by the time they had arrived. It was a rough trip, as many of the kilometres of road were unsealed. Lola helped Tom run Iona Lodge, now known as Abrolhos Reef, on the highway, doing the paperwork and cleaning the rooms. Lola and Tom married in April 1977. Iona Lodge was eventually sold and they moved the family to Mark Way, Mount Tarcoola, including Herbie, the 28 Parrot. Lola and Tom were married for 31 years and she was widowed in 2008. Lola continued to attend her meetings for Horticultural Geranium Society, music afternoons, breast cancer morning teas, which she was a survivor of, and the Hospital Auxiliary, which she was a life member for giving over 20 years of service. It was during these years she made many lifetime friends. However, a pivotal time in Lola's life was when she was introduced to Tai Chi by her good friend and neighbour, Marjorie Wellington. Lola became a teacher of Tai Chi and she was a member for over 20 years. She found peace, solace and health benefits, but most of all, she made some beautiful friends who have lasted her lifetime. We would like to make a special mention at this time to two in particular, Diane Jewell, also known as the Egg Lady, and Lynn Grisby, the Flower Lady. These two amazing ladies have always been loving, caring and special friends of Lola's. The family would like to express their heartfelt appreciation. Some of Lola's achievements in life. Lola was a mother to 3, grandmother to 6 and great-grandmother to 3, stepmother to 4 and step-grandmother to 12. She was an amazing birthday cake baker, which you shall see in the photos coming up. She would always make the kids' birthday cakes and supply Rod, her step-grandson, a tin of choc chip and pecan biscuits to take to the islands. Lola was an avid gardener. She was a true green fingers, especially roses, winning many horticultural awards along the way. Lola also gave generously to cancer associations, guide dogs, Charlie Gardner Hospital and many other charities. She was a mother to Herbie, our 28 Parrot, who lived for 28 years. One of Lola's proudest moments was when her granddaughter Lauren and husband Nelson named their second daughter Lola in September 2018. This was the 6th generation of a family member name, which included Lola. You will see some beautiful photos of the two Lolas coming up. 2 years on, after Tom's passing, Lola met with an old friend, Jeff Ellis. I would like to introduce Tanya, Lola's youngest daughter, to read some words penned by Jeff, who was Lola's partner for the last 10 years.
These are Jeff's beautiful words. I first met Lola during the mid to late I'm not the youngest, I'm also the biggest sook. Okay. I first met Lola during the mid to late 1980s. My late wife Eileen was a good friend of Lola's from Busselton days and later Geraldton. They were both associated through floral art, ceramics and many gardening committees. Eileen and I lived nearby Lola and Tom in Mount Tarcoola, and we would quite often catch up on a Friday for a small happy hour, and a few cream sherries would be enough to cause a little mirth and a little giggle as we watched Lola make her way home. Or was that stagger her way home? We would relate the story to her at the next happy hour. After moving, sorry, I don't want to keep sniffing in here, 2 seconds. After moving to Perth around 1989, Eileen and I always kept in touch with Lola. Eileen herself had many health issues, and finally they took their toll, with her passing away in 2010. During this time, Lola recalled being asked by Eileen if something should happen to her, would she look out for Jeff? Little did Lola know what she was in for. Details are sketchy, but I found myself doing some ad hoc work in Geraldton, and on one occasion, Karen, Lola's daughter, asked if I could take Lola back to Geraldton. We travelled on this day, enjoying the trip and each other's company. Lola offered to cook me a meal. You're lucky, because I never got many. And another catch-up the next day. We sort of hit it off, as one may say. We talked for hours and played many of Lola's LP albums, enjoying each other's company. Loneliness can make people look for things in life that aren't there, but with Lola, we longed for each other and just wanted to be closer. We weren't in love, just loved each other's company. Love would grow, and it did. One of our biggest mistakes in our relationship was to remove Lola from her home. I feel funny saying Lola, I should be saying Mum. From her home, her place of comfort, and moved to Perth. She'd created a beautiful life in Geraldton, a fulfilling one and a wonderful home with family and friends. So they made the move to Perth just after Mum's 80th birthday. She tried hard to fit in, attending Tai Chi classes down there, but it wasn't quite the same as her Geraldton Tai Chi family. She wasn't very happy down there, but she never complained. And then Jeff suggested that they move back to Geraldton, which did the trick. He was back in the good books. During our time in Perth, Lola contracted an infection in her right heel while spreading mulch in the garden. This was the start of years ahead of leg ulcers, antibiotics, doctors, hospital visits and the like. On returning to Geraldton in April 2013, we purchased a property in Cooper Circuit, Mount Tarcoola. We had a lot of fun times with family and friends over the years together and managed to travel to many memorable places such as New Zealand, Croatia, Canada, a trip down the Rhine and on the Garn, and a few other trips in between. Lola continued to have many health issues as the years passed. She kept a lot of it to herself as to not worry those around her. She became less confident, but with Jeff it was always a pleasure. He said to say to everyone he was driving Miss Daisy. As her health deteriorated over the years, I took the opportunity to become her full-time carer. Lola and I respected, loved and cared for each other. This is why I have cried so much with her passing, and she'll miss her forever. Jeff. That's not mine. Oh. Am I going to introduce Tamara? Where are you there? She's written a lovely poem about Mum.
Or is it here? So I've written a poem about Nan, or Mama, and here it is. As a toddler, I couldn't quite say Grandma as a name at the time. Mama is what came out, and it stuck. And to me and my sister, this is who she became. Born on the 10th of October, 1931, Lola was one of 3 daughters, together with Glenys, Val, and Keith, the only son. Growing up in the wheatbelt town of Goomalling, she enjoyed her country life. Then on to Darkin, Greenbushes and Busselton, where my pop Lily made her his wife. She was blessed with 2 beautiful daughters, Karen and Tanya, and Kim, her firstborn son. Mama's extended family at the end of her life was widespread, and she loved everyone. As a little girl, Mama was one of the fittest and healthiest people I knew. A Tai Chi instructor from her mid-50s, I had no clue how she could crouch down on one leg with the other extended straight in front. She wouldn't even break a sweat. As a kid, I thought she was the queen of stunts. Every visit to Geraldton, Mama always made homemade date cake, or as Dad would say, cake for the date. And Chocky Rock biscuits to die for, and vanilla shortbreads pressed with a fork. A piggy belly full of them meant you were up something creek without a cork. Mama was an avid green thumb. Her roses were such a beautiful sight. Her gardens immaculate, filled with blooming roses from Mr. Lincoln to Double Delight. Her geraniums also varied in almost every colour under the sun, and she was always willing to part with flowers and cuttings for everyone. Her memory was as sharp as a tack. She could rattle off dates and names and events, just like that. No matter where my life took me, she never forgot my birthday. And no doubt yours too. Always a birthday card in the mail, something thoughtful and special that I always looked forward to. Bugger. I knew that bit was going to get me because I always got so upset when they'd arrive. I have fond memories of classical background music playing in her home all of the time. Jeff said that in Mama's final days, she loved to fall asleep to her favourites like Andre Rieu every night. It's probably those memories of why I still love listening to classical music to this day, and more so even now. If I want to think of Mama, that's what I'm going to play. One of the most selfless, graceful and loving ladies I had the pleasure to know, Mama, Nana, Mum, Lola, forever in our hearts and memories of you are sown. And so now with your life, with us here, has come to a close. You will always be remembered as Lola, our Lady Rose.
Thank you, Tanya and Tamara. Memories come in all different forms, whether it be hearing a song, smelling a familiar smell, hearing a voice, or looking at photographs. So now let us watch a DVD presentation that Lola's granddaughter Lauren has put together for us to enjoy. As we watch the tribute, a memory, a funny story, or some words might remind you of Lola. After the tribute, we will have an opportunity for people to come forward to share. Thank you, Lauren, for putting that together. A beautiful tribute for your grandmother. Is there anyone that would like to come forward and share a memory or funny story of Lola?
My name's Anne Carpenter. I'm the president of the Hospital Auxiliary, so I only knew Lola through the auxiliary. And many afternoons I've sat there with her selling raffle tickets and hearing stories. And she had a wicked sense of humour sometimes naughty, but you always got a laugh. And personally, I thought she was just a gentle lady. And on behalf of the auxiliary, I extend our condolences to the entire family.
Family and friends, we are nearing the end of today's service, and we have to say a loving and tender farewell to Lola. This doesn't stop the memories you will have in the days, weeks, months, or even years to come. There will be moments when you pause, look up, smile for knowing Lola. There will be moments when there will be tears. There will be times when you want to pick up the phone to hear her voice. In those moments, take time to reflect on your memories and hold them deep in your heart. Let us remember Lola for her always positive, bright, laughing personality. Remember her in her moments of strength and determination. The love she had for her family, Tai Chi, gardening, and baking cakes. Treasure those memories. Lola Florence McNeil, may you rest peacefully. Family and friends, we have reached the conclusion of the official part of today's service for Lola. However, this is not the end of your love, your storytelling, or your memories. From 1 p.m, you're invited to join the family at the Geraldton Yacht Club for light refreshments and to continue sharing memories and catching up. Family, followed by friends, are now invited to come forward and place some rose petals on the coffin as we say our personal goodbyes to Lola. Once you have said your goodbyes, please make your way out of the crematorium to give your condolences and speak with the family. Thank you for your attendance today.